G'day, I'm Troy, and this is the Comic Book Movie Collector's Guide, the show about collecting all things superhero cinema. And today we're going to take a gander at Captain America, the 1990 movie on DVD. And look, we're going to try and answer the question, is this cinema's worst Captain America? Ooh, what do you say we find out? Captain America is a live-action superhero movie with a runtime of 97 minutes. The film was a direct-to-video release on VHS in the UK in 1991 and then in the United States in the summer of 1992. It was later released on DVD on the 4th of February 2012 and on Blu-ray on the 21st of March 2013 with no 4K HD release as of this video. It was written by Stephen Tolkin and Lawrence J. Block, with it directed by Albert Pyun. The film was produced by Jadran Films and 21st Century Film Corporation, with it distributed by 2020 Vision in the UK and Columbia TriStar Home Video in the US. The film is based on the Marvel comic books superhero of the same name created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. So if we look at the cover, I think this is an Australian release, and it was another try out trying to capitalise on the Chris Evans movies at the time. As you can see, it doesn't even have a shot of our titular character here. It has a comic book version of him on the front and doesn't have a shot of the video, shall we say, to try and trick people in pretty clearly. But in saying that, that's a nice shot of Captain America. I don't mind that. And if we look at the thing, look, it's very basic. It blends in so well, you probably don't even notice it on your shelf when you look at it, to tell you the truth. And the back, same again, trying to minimize those shots in the movie so you don't know what you're buying and put some artwork on the back. Very sly indeed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, if we look at the disc, it's just the cover there. And not a great shot either. They even cut the sides. I can't even put it all on there. So not a real great effort. This is clearly pumped out to get some sales. And if I had to pick a cover, I have to admit, the Blu-ray cover for the special edition Blu-ray, I'd probably go with that one. That one's a hell of a lot better. Anyway, as we're reviewing this one, look, it's okay. I don't mind that picture, but it's just there to trick people. So for this one, I'm actually going to give this a 7 out of 10. So this movie introduces us to Steve Rogers, a frail young man who is partly crippled by polio and was excluded from the draft in World War II due to his condition. But Steve ends up volunteering for a super secret experiment to become a new super soldier, codenamed Captain America. Racing against time, Captain America is sent into Germany to sabotage a super secret super rocket that the Nazi super soldier Red Skull has made. But in stopping the rocket, Captain America winds up being frozen until the 1990s. He reawakens to find that Red Skull has changed his identity and is now planning to kidnap the President of the United States, and it's up to Captain America again to stop the Red Skull's evil plans.
I had so many evil plans.
So the script itself tries to jam in a lot of story into one movie. I think that's where the trouble begins. Whereas with the newer Captain America movies, with like the first Avenger and Winter Soldier, you kind of have one movie about his wartime exploits, and then you have the next movie which deals with the man out of time story. But in this movie, they try to get that all done in one movie, and it rushes so many things that you have no time to invest in the story or learn characters' motivations. Now, I'm not saying that the script is terrible. I mean, it's not great either, but it tries to do more than the 97 minutes will allow it. I mean, the plot is like solid to a degree and is reasonably faithful to Captain America lore, with some obvious tweaks throughout, like Red Skull being Italian, for instance, instead of German.
Mamma mia!
You know, things like that. Ultimately, this is where the movie falls over, as it's too much story and not enough time to tell it. And look, that's why I'm only going to give this a 14 out of 30. So look, for the most part, this is a reasonable, faithful adaptation of Captain America from the comic books, with just some slight changes here or there. Look, some of which didn't really affect the overall story, but I think the big one for me was the Red Skull being Italian instead of German. That kind of made no sense, as your main villain's motivation is not there. Like, the comics Red Skull is a Nazi Hydra agent who takes the super serum willingly to become more powerful, as opposed to, say, the movie where you have an Italian child who was kidnapped and forced to take the super serum. You can see the comics version has more motivation than the film's version. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense, does it? It's just really weird. Just a weird choice.
Why would they do that?
Now, as far as the look goes for Captain America, his suit is very comic book accurate. I'll give it that. Even though it is made out of rubber. With fake ears, no less. Yep, have a look at those. They're fake rubber ears. I don't know what's going on. The Red Skull, let's look at him too. He looks terrible. I mean, that makeup artist should have been fired. But you only get to see him as Red Skull for a couple of minutes of the film. But then he just ends up looking like some deformed mob boss. Like, probably because it was due to budget more than anything.
You know, lack of funds, etc.
Now, as far as the acting goes, it was, well, average across the board, to say the least. I've got the list up here, and look, you'll probably notice some 90-bit part actors here. You may recognise a couple, but I would have to say the letdown is our lead man, Matt Salinger, as Captain America. He was very underwhelming, as he had no charm, no charisma, and always seemed to be pulling some sort of bloody, goofy face like these ones. It was like he almost looked surprised all the time, like he didn't even know he was supposed to be in this movie.
Where am I?
And that is probably another thing that lets this movie down again, is that you've got this lead actor that you've picked to carry this movie, and he ends up dropping the ball and dragging this movie till the end. Anyway, it got a lot more wrong than it did right. So for that, look, I'm only going to give this a 6 out of 20. So look, we have no special features on the DVD, but they did put out one special feature on the special edition Blu-ray release in 2013 with a look back at Captain America with the director and the star Matt Salinger, which they give interviews as they reflect on the movie now, 23 years later, they say. And from what I've read, it's a very honest discussion about the good and the bad of the film. So I may have to upgrade to the Blu-ray copy so I can, because I'd love to have a watch of this and see what they get their thoughts on the story and the movie and how they went about it. Anyway, as this is a review of the DVD and there is no special features, I'm afraid all I can give it is, 0 out of 10. Now, the critic score came in at 13%, and the audience score was 19%. Look, no real surprises there, as the general consensus out there in internet land is that this is a terrible movie. And look, I'm not going to argue with that much at all. But there are a couple of people out there that seem to have a small soft spot for this movie. But overall, not much love out there for it. So overall, if we round those scores up, look, we're only going to get a score of 2 out of 10. So look, I saw this movie when it first came out, and I rented it from my local Video Easy back in 1992, and I had not long started getting serious about collecting comics, so I was interested in anything and everything superhero related at that time, and I was so excited to watch this movie. Now, back then, it didn't seem so bad, as a lot of straight-to-video movies of the early 90s were roughly on the same par as this movie, so I didn't think it was as bad as it was when I watched it just recently again with fresh eyes. And geez, it's not as good as I remember.
We repressed the memory.
But I think we're so used to the Marvel movies nowadays that you look back on any of these old ones and of course they look terrible. But if you put it in the context, this was pretty standard for those schlocky 90s movies. Look, at the end of the day, I think they were too ambitious for the budget they had, and that showed in the final product. And from all accounts, it was probably a miracle it got released in the first place, as there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that didn't really help matters much. At the end of the day, this is a nice little time capsule of what superhero movies were like for us fans back in the day, and not these massive epic blockbusters that we have now. So for this, I'm gonna give it a little bit of more of a sentimental score, shall we say, and I'm gonna give it a score of 10 out of 20. So, first up is collectability, and if we look at the collector scale, I would say this would be more for your comic geeking up, as it is something you probably should at least watch once, but it's more for your serious collectors and not really necessary for everyone's collection. Now, as far as availability goes on this one, this is probably on the average side of things, as you will find there is a mixed bag of both DVD and Blu-ray copies out there on sale, mostly only on your second-hand markets like eBay. As far as your average price goes, you are looking at somewhere between about the 10 to 24 mark for DVD, and if you're looking for a Blu-ray, you're looking at somewhere between $18 to $43. And of course, there is nothing out there for 4K HD as of this video. Now, for the final score, we get a grand total of 39 out of 100. Ooh, well, that's not a great score. Not a great score at all, but definitely better than what you would see elsewhere out on the net. So look, we asked the question, is this cinema's worst Captain America? Yes, part of me doesn't want to say it, but yes, this is probably the worst version of Captain America we have ever seen on our screens to date.
You'll pay for your crimes against humanity!
So, if you like this video and you want to check out some more of my reviews, why don't you go click that one there? Or maybe you want to see some of my collection updates. Got you covered too. Why don't you click that one there? And of course, on your way out, don't forget to do the most important things. Throw me a bat like, and don't forget to hit that subscription button on the way out too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.